Got a whole bunch of stocks that we will be eyeing in early trade and a couple of important ones that we are tracking this morning. So I'm just going to quickly take you through what I have on my list, and then of course I'll hand it over to Taman and Neeraj for their list of stocks that they are tracking too. Let's start with CEAT because that becomes an important stock. They've acquired Camso brand at very attractive valuations, we understand. They've acquired Camso in an all-cash deal valued at $225 million. What will Camso do for CEAT? It will give CEAT the ability to widen its product base into tracks and construction tires. Brokerages like MK see a 15% upside to the overall revenues based on calendar 23 financials of Camso. There are a few benefits of this acquisition. This will give it ability, like I said, to widen its product offering. They'll also give CEAT access to a global customer base, including over 40 international OEMs. So all in all, a positive. Not too many upgrades in terms of a price target aggressive hike, but nevertheless, brokerage is constructive about CEAT. It's too early to tell, but over the course of the day, you may have brokerages coming out and revising their target on CEAT. But all in all, a positive on the counter. You also have the management who will be talking to Tamanna shortly, so we'll get some more details of what this means and why Camso was acquired by CEAT. Apart from that, the other big one becomes Paytm. I'm not too sure about what the valuation of this one are, but nevertheless an important one in terms of stock movement. The board of Paytm has approved the sale of stock acquisition rights in PayPay Corporation Japan. Remember, PayPay Corporation Japan develops and provides electronic payment services. This is a subsidiary of Paytm. Paytm has approved the sale to SoftBank Vision Fund 2, and the sale consideration has come at 2,364 crores. This transaction is expected to be completed in this calendar year, which means in the next 3 weeks the deal will be closed out and executed. The sale will fortify consolidated cash reserves for Paytm. Remember, they have a significant cash holding of about 10,000 odd crores that will be used in the business back home in terms of expansion and getting the house in order. Those are the two companies that I have. You've also got an order win, and I like these order wins because they usually mean that these companies react quite well to them. RITES has emerged as the highest bidder for Creek Highway orders, and it's a pretty significant one, $9.7 million from Guyana government. So it's an international order win for RITES to the tune of $10 million, which converts back into about 75 to 80 crores. RITES should be moving up. Along with that, I think Paytm's sale should also be considered a positive, and CEAT's acquisition is being viewed as a positive too this morning.
Yeah, CEAT's acquisition definitely a positive. I have two negatives and one which could have been a positive but isn't anymore. So let me start with Godrej Consumer. So the management has given a fairly gloomy outlook. It's a mid-quarter sort of sound off from them, and it's like a half-year review. They say disruption will keep the business stressed for the next few months. The company also says that 2/3 of their India business will be impacted. India revenue will grow in mid-single digits with a flat volume. Q3 India earnings to decline by high teens. So the reason is a high base which has come in and raw material pressure. Margins to be below the normal range of 24 to 27%. There's an issue or headwinds for their soap portfolio because of palm oil prices. That's one big component, and those prices have been shooting up. The soaps portfolio accounts for 1/3 of the company's revenue. Because of the winter, the South India cyclone, all of that has impacted their household insecticides business, which accounts for 1/3 of their India revenue. So the company has been very, very, I would say, forthright on what their business is looking like right now. Two notes out today, and both with a different view, but I suspect you will see a downtick at least when markets open this morning. MK says that it's a downgrade to a reduce from an ad for them for GCPL with a target price of 1,225. They've cut earnings by 4 to 7% to factor in demand and inflationary stress, and they see a 23% margin growth on a high base of 29.7%. So this is the impact you're seeing of say, economic slowdown to some extent and high raw material prices. Citi, meanwhile, is quite positive. They've rated a buy for the stock with a target price of 1,550, a potential upside of 25%. They believe that long-term structural growth drivers will remain intact, and they'll see new growth momentum in newer categories in India. So, which is why it's a positive from them. But overall, I think you'll see a thumbs down on Godrej Consumer at start. Poonawalla Fincorp is the other one, and really management woes is something that this company keeps facing, and the latest one is fairly shocking, honestly, which is why a thumbs down. The Chief Technical Officer, Dheeraj Saxena, has quit, saying he was harassed by the HR. He worked with the company for over a year and has quit on September 6th. He's alleged harassment and unnecessary interventions by the CHRO, nonetheless, and no one below that even. They say that the CHRO's interventions created major unrest, impacting IT delivery. So it's an astonishing allegation, and he's quit because of it. So, of course, the company has undergone management changes recently. Arvind Kapil joined in June 2024 as MD and CEO. Harsh Kumar also joined, that's the CHRO who's in the eye of the storm, in July 2024. And his concerns were about bringing in new people, which caused interruptions with transition. I mean, I don't know what it's about, but you know, this is a listed company, and that kind of a statement from the Chief Technical Officer to quit and say very clearly that the CHRO is not letting me doing my job is just astonishing. So I think in that sense, in terms of governance issues, you'll see a downside to Poonawalla Fincorp this morning. Suven Pharma was a thumbs up. I mean, the news is great for them, but you know, as Dheeraj will come in and also tell you in a bit of detail, what's happened with the Biosecure Act has sort of burst that bubble. So I'm talking about it in thumbs up in terms of the news for the company. This is good news for the company. I'm not talking about how the stock will react this morning, so let me just make that clear. They have acquired a controlling stake of 56% in a US-based company called NJ Bio. This acquisition's been done with an investment of about 535 crores. It will close by December end, financed through cash reserves, so all of that is good. It helps them expand their market in a fast-growing CDMO segment, provides strategic footprint in the US, cross-selling opportunities, creates a unique tech-focused CRDMO. So this company that they are buying is a contract development and manufacturing organization and serves pharma innovation customers globally. So it's good news for them. But then again, I think all CDMO companies will see a bit of we'll see some pressure because of expectations.
Yeah, most certainly. In fact, you know, guys, what we'll do is my set of 3 stocks we'll take in after a moment, because since Tamanna mentioned this Biosecure Act, we have an analyst with us and we have our in-house expert Varsha also with us. So Varsha, I'll first take to you before we go to Sumit Gupta of Centrum, and just tell us what has happened. Why is it a setback for Indian CDMO players?
Well, Neeraj, the main reason why all the CDMO companies were buzzing in last 3 to 4 months was US Biosecure Act. Now, what has happened is the US Biosecure Act, which aimed to ban 5 Chinese companies from US funded research, was removed from a key defense bill. The targeted companies include BGI Genomics, Wuxi Aptac and Wuxi Biologics. Now, why the act was proposed in the first place? Because supporters argued that it was needed to stop China from misusing biological data for harmful purposes. Now, why this act has been dropped? Because lawmakers objected to blacklisting companies without a fair process, and they wanted clear rules for adding and removing companies from such lists. Now, what is the impact of dropping this act? Now, this act is hard to pass. Supporters may try it to attach to other critical bills later, but this is negative for Indian CDMO companies like Divi's Laboratories, your Laurus Labs, Syngene International, Newland Labs, because all these companies were pegging on US Biosecure Act, which is in simple words is nothing but China plus one strategy. But now, since these companies will not be banned, there's tough competition for the Indian CDMO companies, because the CDMO base, the China actually has the CDMO base, and these 5 companies top when it comes to CDMO contracts.
Varsha, thanks for that. And you know, Sumit Gupta, AVP of Research at Centrum, joins in right now to talk about this particular thing. Sumit, if you would have scanned the news, what kind of an impact does this have on Indian CDMO players? Because yes, there's a lot of uptick in anticipation of this. And is this a temporary impact according to you?
Hey, hi, thanks for having me. So first is on the overall this particular segment that has come. So it might be a sentimental negative in the near term. However, if we see from structural point of view, China has been a top CDMO player by providing generous government support and labor, which is nearly 25 to 30% less expensive versus the other countries. However, if you see, trade restrictions were imposed by the former US President Donald Trump, and the COVID-19 pandemic also caused supply chain disruptions. At that point of time, China began to lose its market share. So this led to India's CDMO business taking advantage of that particular situation, and this was a huge benefit and a game changer as the big businesses began to de-risk by awarding contracts to the Indian firms. So structurally, if you see, it has been going on for the past few years and post-COVID materially. And going forward also, we expect this particular story to go forward also over the next 8 to 10 years. So in the near term, obviously there might be some some issues in terms of how the act gets passed. However, going for in the long run, we are positive on the Indian CDMO industry.
So, Sumit, let's get specific. Which companies do you think, which Indian CDMO players do you think will see the biggest hit today, and then actually give us an opportunity to buy in if required?
We don't have coverage on CDMO sector as a whole, but the top 5 companies, just obviously companies like Divi's or Suven Pharma, they are one of the biggest beneficiary of this act. So I won't be going to specific names due to not being coverage. So however, we are positive on all these names.
Any of the mainstay pharma companies which have a large CDMO presence? I mean, were you trying to say that? And therefore, are there anything from that act that might react today and might be good buys?
Yes.
So which one would those be?
So it would be around, you can say, companies like Divi's or Paytm Pharma or Suven Pharma. So
but you don't have coverage there, no? But large cap pharma, anybody which has got a large CDMO activity and therefore they might also react negatively today? The Sun Pharmas or the Lupids of the world? No.
No, not that much.
Not
but
that
majorly
much. Okay.
It would be, but it would be majorly the large CDMO companies that I would be focused.
Okay, so in that sense, watch out for a Divi's, watch out for a Suven and some of those which will be hit.
Yeah, but
right. No, please continue your point, Sumit.
Okay, so overall, the structural story remains positive for the Indian CDMO space as a whole, because irrespective of the US Biosecure Act, the mindset of the overall business across the world has been about de-risking from the China. So that is a structural play going on across the globe.
Okay, great. Great talking to you, Sumit, this morning. Thanks so much for taking the time out. I think the view from both experts who have spoken to Rahul Chadda and Sumit seems to be that this is a temporary hit today. But watch out. Laurus, Divi's, Syngene, Paytm Pharma, all of these will have a negative start today for sure. Whether they bounce back remains to be seen. Okay, very quickly, the other stocks that are on my radar as well, aside of the ones that Tamanna and Sabina have already spoken about, there will be Biocon, because Novo will cut the list prices for insulin aspart by 75% from 1st Jan 2026. Now, this is a big negative simply because Biocon's product aspart still not launched as yet. They're waiting for the Malaysian facility to get the go-ahead. But when it gets launched, we'll already face this 75% price erosion. And brokerages like IIFL had estimated about $80 million of revenues for Biocon in FY27 from aspart. So therefore, Biocon has a double negative today, a double whammy, and will correct for sure today. Even if the Biosecure thing had not happened, this aspart news, insulin aspart's news, is a negative, and the stock will crack today. So watch out for that one. AI Engineering is the other one. US has imposed an anti-dumping duty of 4.3% on certain high chrome cast iron grinding products, and the ADD or the anti-dumping duty is effective 6 December. So effective already, and therefore this one could have a bit of a negative reaction. So watch out for this one. Just one small positive from my end. Welspun Corp, 2 orders in USA for supply of pipes of natural gas pipeline products. The total value of the orders received by the US plant in Q3 alone, 7,000 crores. That's a large one, and therefore could react positively.